Why can't you throw a Pokeball when there's multiple Pokemon on the other side of the field? The real answer is probably some game design reason. Not sure what that is. I don't really see what the drawback would be of letting the player choose which Pokemon they're going to throw the ball at. But I think it has to be a game design reason. I don't really see any kind of technical reason that they couldn't program that in. Like, you can do that for moves, so why not Pokeballs? It could be a lore reason, but that hasn't really been hinted at. But since finding hidden lore is what makes theory crafting fun, I think we can come up with something good. This is what we know about Pokeball accuracy. In most games, you can't miss a Pokeball throw. But in Generation 1, you could, and it was actually kind of frequent against Pokemon like Chansey and Mewtwo. The Master Ball was the only one that never missed. But as of Generation 2, there are almost no circumstances where you can miss a Pokeball throw. And yet the game claims that you can't aim when there's more than one Pokemon on the other side of the field, so we must be missing something. I did go to Bulbapedia to try to learn a little bit more about Pokeball history, see if there was something there that could inform this, but I gotta say, Bulbapedia kinda sucks for this type of research, because Bulbapedia doesn't differentiate between game and anime lore unless they contradict each other. So the entire history of Pokeball's article is just anime stuff, and it takes everything from the anime as canonical even when it's self-contradictory. Like with the history of Pokeballs, where 40 years ago, Pokeballs looked like this, and 300 years ago, they looked like this. Really? So anyway, given what we do know about Pokeball accuracy, that they used to miss, but now they don't, and yet you can't aim if there's multiple targets. How can we explain this? How about this? What if modern Pokeballs have a homing feature that makes sure you never miss your throws? But if there's multiple targets, the technology could get confused, and so you, or rather the player character, knowing this, would refuse to throw a Pokeball when there's more than one Pokemon and risk catching the wrong one. I originally pulled this kind of mini theory out of thin air during a conversation on my Discord server, but it actually kind of holds up pretty well. So in Red, Blue, and Yellow, the Master Ball was the only one that had this homing technology, but by the time of Gold, Silver, and Crystal, 3 years later, it had become a standard feature across all Pokeballs. It was even included in Kurt's artisanal Pokeballs made from apricorns, and ever since then, this feature has been included in pretty much every Pokeball. Beyond that, it is a little bit difficult to figure out the sort of timeline of this homing feature, because in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, which are supposed to take place at the same time as Red, Blue, and Yellow, all of the Pokeballs have that homing feature. And that does include the 4 Pokeball models from Generation 1, the basic Pokeball, and then Great, Ultra, and Safari Balls. But in Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is actually more likely to share the timeline with Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, all of the Pokeballs do have the homing technology. So it might just be a difference of timeline kind of thing. Hey, so while editing this video, Indigo, my wife, who, by the way, edits most of my videos, had an idea to explain some of that discrepancy. So we talked through it, and this is what we came up with. Because the image of the Pokeball, the look of the Pokeball logos are totally ubiquitous. They are consistent throughout all of the regions that we've seen. So it's likely that the look of the Pokeball is actually a trademark owned by some entity. It's some cross-national entity, maybe someone above the Pokemon League. In that case, the Pokeball case might be licensed to companies like Sylph and Devon that then developed their own Pokeball technologies to put inside of it. So the look of the Pokeball is consistent, but not necessarily the technology. So the catching technology, the homing systems, those might actually be different. And in that case, Devon might actually have developed the homing technology before Sylph did. So in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Devon has already made the homing technology standard throughout all of their balls, but in Red, Blue, and Yellow, which is at the same time, Sylph has only just started testing or developing their own version of the homing technology, or they've just bought the technology from Devon, so it's only made it into the Master Ball. Anyway, that's a possibility. Back to me from the past. But even after Generation 1, there are some situations in main series games where it is possible to miss a Pokeball throw. 2 of them are in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and one of them makes perfect sense. The Ghost of Marowak in Lavender will always dodge your Pokeballs, and of course it will. Even with homing technology in the Pokeball, even with a Master Ball, because it's a ghost. And before you bring up ghost-type Pokemon, they are not actual ghosts. They are alive, they can breed, they are not ghosts. But the Ghost of Marowak is actually dead, so a Pokeball wouldn't be able to catch it, and a homing feature in a Pokeball wouldn't be able to find it. The second situation in Fire Red and Leaf Green doesn't make sense. If you try to catch the Pokemon Tower ghosts without having the Sylph Scope, they will dodge your throws, even Master Balls. But they're not actually ghosts. And when you do have the Sylph Scope, you no longer miss. So I don't really know what's going on here. If the Ghastlies and Haunters were making illusions so that they don't look like Pokemon, that wouldn't affect the Pokeball homing technology. And even if they were able to disrupt that technology somehow, how would the Pokeballs know when you're using the Sylph Scope? How would the Sylph Scope affect your Pokeball aim and the homing technology? The last situation where you can miss a Pokeball throw in the main series games is still in Kanto, but it's a bit more interesting, I think. It's the Let's Go games. In terms of game mechanics, you miss because you can actually aim and throw your Pokeballs. But if we're looking at it from a lore perspective, we might notice that it's the Pokeballs, Great Balls, and Ultra Balls that can miss. But when you throw a Master Ball, no matter how you aim, you always hit. And that looks like homing technology to me. We know that Let's Go is on a separate timeline from all of the other main series games, so I think that the Pokeball technology in this version of the Pokemon world might actually be closer to that original Red, Blue, and Yellow technology than to what we see in Fire Red and Leaf Green and all of the other games. And that's pretty neat. I've been a bit wary of doing theories in the lead up to Sword and Shield, because as soon as those games come out, in less than a month at this point, my theories could be incomplete or even disproven entirely. But I think this one in particular is fairly safe. I don't think Pokeball technology is going to change all that much. But if you have any other ideas or you can think of any other connections with Pokeball aiming technology, make sure to let me know in the comments. And like this video if you enjoyed it. You can subscribe if you're new here and hit that bell to turn on notifications and convince the algorithm to suggest my videos more often. I'm Umbreon Libris. I'll see you in the next chapter. Oh. Oh, that was pretty good.